Hello and good morning. You are watching TVR World's breaking news on the repatriation of the online scam victims. I'm Sesko Satrio, and let's continue with the news in details. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs repatriates 554 citizens from Myawaddy, Myanmar, from a total of 564 after being rescued from online scam syndicates in the country. Of the total 564, repatriation of the remaining 10 Indonesians will be awaiting for the exact date of repatriation.
Hundreds of Indonesians have been lured by fraudulent job offers in Thailand, only to find them trafficked to Myanmar and forced into virtual slavery as laborers in online scam centers. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said a total of 564 Indonesian citizens will be repatriated in stages, with the first group of 554 Indonesians arrived today at Soekarno-Hatta Airport. They will also undergo an interview process, including rehabilitation and reintegration upon their arrival. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has worked with other related ministries, such as the Coordinating Ministry of Political and Security Affairs and the Coordinating Ministry of Community Empowerment, in preparing the repatriation of the workers until their returns to their hometowns. On Friday, March 14, 2025, the Indonesian ambassador to Bangkok, Rahmat Budiman, accompanied by Director of Protection of Indonesian Citizens at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Judah Nugraha, held a special meeting with the governor of Tak Province, Chuchep Ponchai, along with related agencies to discuss preparations and ensure the smooth crossing of Indonesian citizens from Myanmar to Mesot, Thailand. Thailand area is used as a transit for repatriation of Indonesian citizens because it's still not possible to bring them out of Myanmar through the Myawaddy and Yangon land route due to security problems. According to the official of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Chuchep, with the support of various Thai authorities, expressed his readiness to facilitate the crossing of Indonesian citizens from Myawaddy to Mesot by ensuring an escort to Bangkok and then flying them back to Jakarta. The ministry also said that Thai authorities will also conduct the national referral mechanism process to identify victims of human trafficking, as well as health and immigration checking.
As many as 554 from a total of 564 Indonesian citizens rescued from online scams in Myanmar have been repatriated. Some of them are scheduled to arrive in Soekarno-Hatta Airport today and others to arrive tomorrow. Hundreds of thousands of people believed to have been lured to work in Myanmar, Cambodia and Laos, where they are forced to perpetrate global scams involving false romances, fraudulent investments, and illegal gamblings. Many of the workers were recruited under false pretenses, only to find themselves trapped in virtual slavery. Foreign Affairs Ministry said approximately 6,800 Indonesians fallen victims to illegal job scams in Myanmar and several other countries over the past few years. They have been lured by fraudulent job seekers in Thailand, only to find them trafficked to Myanmar and forced into virtual slavery as laborer in online scam centers. We're going to discuss about this issue with National Human Rights Commissioner Anis Hidayah and Lecturer of International Relations of Universitas Bina Mandiri Gorontalo, Dr. Ayu Anastasia Rahman, MA. Good morning, Ibu Anis and Ibu Ayu. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us this morning to talk about this concerning but also maybe a bit relieving news for us. I would like to go to Ibu Ayu first. Bu Ayu, can you explain to us or tell us how could this organized scammers grow in recent years, particularly in Southeast Asia?
Right. Thank you. Over the past decade, these organized scam syndicates have expanded significantly, in Southeast Asia. I'm talking about those who disguise as legitimate call centers, and they're targeting the victims worldwide, right? And the scams, often operate also under a disguise, as you already mentioned. Some of them are operates under a legitimate, disguising as a legitimate call centers. And specifically, if we talk about Myanmar and Cambodia, it's also have become a hotspot of these scam networks. I can think of many reasons. Such as, for instance, because of the weak law enforcements, and we can talk about corruptions and political instability. These are phenomena that is, and a problem that is still happening in Southeast Asia. And there's also like a huge problems of social problems, like, for example, like unemployment. As you mentioned, also one of the promises that lured them into these crimes is because of the economic problems that they do face. So these are the reason why we're still seeing it in Southeast Asia, and it becomes increasing.
Yeah. You also said that you mentioned the hotspots is Myanmar and Cambodia, but we also know that maybe in the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, there are also hundreds of cases, and Laos and also Thailand. What's the base or the reason of this? The hotspots, Myanmar and Cambodia, and other surrounding cities and surrounding countries in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned about a weak law enforcement and corruptions, right? Countries like Cambodia and Myanmar both have struggled with weak judicial systems, and also corrupt officials. Either they're going to ignore the crimes or collaborate with these syndicates. If you talk about Myanmar after 2021, the post-coup military coup, right? We see that this military coup have created what we call as a lawless environment where criminal syndicates such as these online scammers can operate with impunity. So, particularly if you talk about border areas, this is a very vulnerable to become a place where they operate, right? If we're talking about Cambodia, for example, there is a special economic zones, the regions. Some of them are, seeing the rise of scam operations due to, for example, like the influx of Chinese investment that led to unregulated casinos, for example, or crime hubs, right? These are, factors that may contribute to why, in this case, these countries are more vulnerable compared to the other countries in Southeast Asia. And also, if you talk about geographically, because it's very easy for them to commute or to do the mobility between countries, because they do it through road, for example. So I think the issues of mobilities also play a crucial roles in why it is vulnerable for these countries to become destinations of human traffic crimes.
Okay. Now, I would like to ask Ibu Anis. Ibu Anis, the National Human Rights Commission identified that Indonesia is one of the countries that is mostly targeted for online scams that lead to human trafficking, both as a sending country as well as a destination nation. Can you elaborate about this condition?
Yeah, because Indonesia is one of the biggest sending country of Indonesian migrant workers in the Southeast Asia region, after Philippines. So why Indonesia identified as a source of people also in Indonesia, being targeted as a victim in the online scam. So both sending and targeted, I think it's relevant because of Indonesia as a sending countries in one side. In another side, Indonesia also being the biggest countries that many peoples in Indonesia involvement with the social media, using internet. So why many Indonesian peoples being a victim of online scam because of the activity related with the social media, as we know that the online scam, the syndicate using the social media to organize and to get the victim.
Okay, before we continue with our discussion, I would like to go to see the current condition at the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport. Now let's see the situation there. As you can see on your screen that the airplane is visible. They are waiting for the repatriate victims, I guess. On your screen, we can see that a lot of Indonesian officials are there, and one of them are Budi Gunawan, Coordinating Minister for Political and Security Affairs, and also Sugiono, Indonesian Foreign Affairs Minister. Well, we'll give you an update later on the situation at the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport. And now I would like to ask again, Bu Anis. Bu Anis, some reports mention a shift in how human trafficking cases have evolved. The perpetrators now target young Indonesian with higher education. Why do you see this? Why do young Indonesian with higher education can also be lured easily into these cases?
Yeah, based on the research of our commission last year, indicate that there are changing situation regarding with the human trafficking with the modus of online scam in the past 5 years. Yeah, before the profile of the victim usually coming from a lower education, but since the online scam being the new modus of the human trafficking in the Southeast Asia region, there are a chance of the targeted victim becoming higher education of the people, as including the young people, yeah, with the higher education background. Why? Because this online scam, especially being modus with using the technology that we know, the young people is the biggest number that using the social media, the technology for the daily activity. So this why there are the opportunity for the room how the syndicate making the youth and higher educational background of the people in Indonesia being targeted more than lower education. The second one, I think, um, based on our reflection, the literacy education in Indonesia regarding with the human trafficking also not really good, yeah, by the Indonesian government, even though we already facing the online scamming for more than in the last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And hold on, Ibu. We are now looking on the visual of the repatriated online scam victims, that they are now exiting the airplane that carried them from Thailand. We can see a number of Indonesian officials there welcoming the first batch of Indonesian citizens that were rescued and repatriated from online scam centers in Myanmar. Today, on March 18th, 2025, the first aircraft departed from Don Muang Airport, Bangkok, Thailand, this morning around 5:25 Western Indonesian time, and arrived at Soekarno-Hatta Airport at around 9 o'clock this morning, Western Indonesian time. And also the second aircraft departed this morning around 5:40 Western Indonesian time, and to be estimated to be here or arrive here at Soekarno-Hatta around 9:45 Western Indonesian time. And there also a third batch or a third aircraft that will depart on Wednesday, tomorrow, March 19th, 2025. The ship or the aircraft will depart at 4 Western Indonesia time tomorrow morning, and estimated will arrive at Soekarno-Hatta International Airport at 7:35 Western Indonesia time tomorrow. And upon their arrival in Jakarta, they will be directly taken to the Pondok Gede Hajj dormitory for a 2-day assessment. We also been informed that the ranking of the highest number of victims of this case is the highest one is from the North Sumatra province, Indonesia, and then West Java, and the third one is from Bangka Belitung. And I would like to continue with our discussion with Ibu Anis and Ibu Ayu. I would like to go to Ibu Ayu now. Bu Ayu, this is, I think, an interesting situation where the so-called the digital era actually ushered in unprecedented opportunities for connectivity and commerce, but it has also spawned a parallel rise in cyber criminal activities, with online scams emerging as a particularly pervasive and damaging threat. These scams often, as you also said, that often sophisticated and difficult to discern from legitimate online interactions. And how do you see this? How have advanced technologies expanded scammers' reach and tactics?
Yes, I think this is a very interesting question because it's tightly related to the era. Now we know that this is an AI era. This is the high tech era. Scammers do adapt with this technology too. So scammers are now also using advanced technology like artificial intelligence, even like a deep fake technology. They do use or utilize the social engineering tools, in a different way now. So it is not like we know we use they create created a fake investment website to attract, to attract people to sending money. And they often use, for example, like AI-based chatbot, where these technology can also engage with the potential victims, and even using a technology like a deep fake video to kind of like create a false credibility. By this technology can also impersonate like popular people, like celebrities or even the government, to kind of like promote these fraudulent activities or fraudulent schemes. And if we can take a look of the use of, for example, like cryptocurrency or the blockchain technology in general. So these kind of blockchain technology, especially cryptocurrency, is also used for the undetected, or we can say this is for anonymous transactions where there is no law or authorities or government or whatsoever that can, kind of like track the flow of this money. And they often use, for example, like dark web or using VPNs or any of these sort to kind of like disguise or hid their activities to become undetected, which is to avoid the international scrutiny. What we say now is is cybercrime. And lastly, I think Juan is also mentioned about the social media, how social media is also utilized by the scammers nowadays, right? To create, for example, like a fake job listing websites, and also lure these young people, educated people, a college graduate, with this promise of high salary, very, convenient work overseas. I think for someone who are desperate at home, where the number of availability of job are still limited, and then there's a high competition in the job markets and high properties price, these kind of social problems are also lead them to a financial desperation, which makes this offer, become a new hope for the young generation.
And Bu Ayu, before Bu Ani said that, yeah, young Indonesian or our younger generation are maybe we can say it equipped or maybe familiar with the technology now in this digital era, and it made them also the target of this scams. How do you see this as a lecturer? Will it make their future harder in terms of getting jobs in Indonesia and also abroad?
Right, right. I think it comes with a good intention to find a better paying job, right? Because what they saw after the graduation is not what they expected to be. So they often try to find or utilize, websites like, for example, like LinkedIn, a premium or high quality known, job listing websites. Now, the problem is scammers is also adapt using these similar tools to actually offer or advertise their fake jobs, which make it even difficult for us unless we have kind of like the government could collaborate with these platforms, to give, for example, like red flags to alert, if this job offer is potentially fake, right? Yeah. But also, if you talk about younger generation, I think not only that they equip with the digital as a digital users, but they need a digital awareness, such as types, modes, and motives of cyber crimes, for example. Sometimes, despite of we have almost 80 or 70% of our citizens are actually internet users. However, many of the citizens also lack of awareness in online fraud, which make it difficult. Which make a very easy target for the scammers, right? Because number one, we do have a desperation at heart. Secondly, we do not aware of this type of different online fraudulent schemes. So yeah, that's the reason I think we many of these people were trapped into a scam compound abroad, and mostly in what we see in Cambodia, Myanmar, and Thailand.
Yeah. Then, Bu Anis, I would like to ask you now, how do you think is the way to prevent more Indonesian becoming victims of this organized international crime, what the government should do and can yeah, what should they do, and maybe other stakeholders do to address this issue?
Yeah, I think Indonesia government have to increase the awareness regarding with the human trafficking being part of the cybercrime that around us, and how the online scam as a new of the modus of the human trafficking is very close with us through digital literacy. Yeah? So officially, Indonesian government should provide the digital literacy regarding with the issue of human trafficking, online scam, etc. With the massive target to the young people, educational, high educational background, and including, I think, the a student in the university. Yeah? The second one, I think the Indonesian government should also increase the strategy, the methodology, how to reach out the Indonesian citizen to more understand regarding with the human trafficking through offline methodology with using the village government, how to reach out their people, because the village government, I think, more effective um, how to approach their citizen, how to using the very simple languages to making understand regarding with the issue of human trafficking. And the latest one, I think it's very important how to strengthen the monitoring of the Indonesian government regarding with the social media, regarding with the recruitment agencies, regarding with the syndicate of the human trafficking, due by the Indonesian government, Ministry of Indonesia Migrant Workers Protection, Ministry of Manpower, Ministry of Women and Children Protection, and also some Indonesian government that related with the task of the Indonesian migrant workers protection. I think the monitoring system will be a very important thing, how to make sure that Indonesian government um, have to have to make sure that every syndicate of the human trafficking, every network of the human trafficking being monitored better than before, yeah. Because as I know that under the national law on migrant workers, the task of the monitoring of the migration process is being weak in the past maybe 7 years, because the government didn't publish or formulate the national implementation regulation regarding with the monitoring for the migrant workers sending abroad. So this is being weak, an opportunity for the syndicate to explore more how to operate and how to make the target in Indonesia for the victim of human trafficking more easy.
So by strengthening the laws and also regional administration, you see this as one of the ways to minimize the Indonesian citizens becoming victims of online scams. Do you see this as a big challenge for education institution to also take part in this situation?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this needs a multi-actors collaborations. Not only that it is an issue between government to government, Indonesian government and Thailand government or Myanmar government, right? But it is also a domestic issues in terms of, for example, like quality of education, better opportunities of job. This has to be also adapted or known by the government, and government needs to put more efforts into ensuring that our young Indonesian college graduate are not being trapped into this scam compound. I see it as a social problem. There's also a social problem there. For example, like big cities like in Jakarta, where young people have to struggle in terms of purchasing properties, for example. They should live paycheck to paycheck monthly. There is no job security in bigger cities, right? This is also not only a human trafficking, as in the issue of human trafficking alone, but we can track it as the entire process of offering a better paying job in Indonesia, or offering a job security for workers in Indonesia before they are being lured by these kind of opportunities. And for education institution, I believe not only that it can play the role to increase the awareness of these kind of modus or modes, right? But also education institutions can, try to make sure that the curriculum itself that we adopt at the institutions or higher education institutions also practical enough for the graduate to transition directly to our job fields or job markets. And lastly, I believe there should be what we call aspara diplomacy in international relations. Diplomacy between borders government, for example, regions in the border has to have a strong collaboration to make sure there will be the mitigation or prevention of this mobility, human trafficking mobility in between the borders. I think nevertheless, we should make sure that these all stakeholders are working together, not only partially, but they need to work under the scheme of under the framework, a safe migration. For example, like what Thailand do, they do have a kind of like safe migration to make sure there's a flow of migrants safely if they want to pursue the job overseas and not being trapped by these scammers.
Well, now that that our government has already starting to bring home Indonesian citizens freed from scam centers in, for instance, Myanmar in this case, Bu Anis, do you see the government has done enough to protect our citizens and repatriating them to Indonesia? Because, well, actually, what I'm curious, is there many more of them out there that has not been tracked yet? Are our government already done their maximum? How do you see this, Bu Anis?
Yeah, in the context of the repatriation, of course, yes, Indonesian government, especially Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as we know, they do maximum diplomacy, how to make sure the protection of Indonesian migrant workers, including the Indonesian people that being victim of online scam in Myanmar, Cambodia, and other countries in the Southeast Asia region. But of course, we are still have a very big homework here that we have to um, give the attention, especially the first one regarding with the rehabilitation of the victim. Based on our reflection and experience, usually the repatriation for the victim of human trafficking only until they are arrive in Indonesia. But how to ensure that they also will receive the rehabilitation because of the situation that they are facing during being victim in many receiving countries. And the other one also how to ensure that the law enforcement is working well. because in the past 5 years regarding with the online scam that happening in the Southeast Asia region, the law enforcement, I think we have to say still lack here um, how to make sure that law enforcement going well, working well, and how to also make sure that the involvement of the official from the government um, also being enforced by the law enforcement officer, especially, of course, police. Yeah, we see that there are still so many cases maybe stuck in the investigation. So we're still waiting for the commitment of the Indonesian government to make sure that law enforcement will working well after repatriating the highest number of the victim from Myanmar and Thailand.
Yeah. Yeah, we will now see again the situation at the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport. We'll talk again later on, Bu Anis and Bu Ayu. Hold on. Now, in our screen, or on your screen also, we'll see the press conference about the repatriated online scam victims by the Budi Gunawan, the coordinating minister for political and security affairs, and also Sugiono, Indonesian foreign affairs minister. That is the this is the place where the press conference will take place, but I guess we still have to wait for Budi Gunawan and also Sugiono. Budi Gunawan is Indonesian coordinating minister for political and security affairs, and also Indonesian foreign affairs minister, Bapak Sugiono. Okay, while waiting the press conference, Bu Anis, we've talked about the victims. We also know that upon their arrival in Jakarta, they will be directly taken to the Pondok Gede Hajj dormitory for a 2-day assessment that we've been informed. Any suggestion on how to treat the victims of this labor abuse and coercion, Bu Anis?
Yeah, I think it's very important how to. The first thing that very important to do by the government is the assessment to the victim. Yeah, what happened with their health, psychological, and etc. Because for a long time, the victims facing the very bad situation. They are facing the violence. They are facing the isolated condition, and also facing the situation that very limited access for everything. Yeah, the decent work never received by them. So it's very important how to make sure about the identifying the psychological, the health impact for the victim. The second one, I think, how to continue to make the police report. This is important to make sure that the case of the online scam have to continue by the legal process or law enforcement in Indonesia to show the people get the access for the justice. Because for the long time, I think the case of the online scam in Indonesia, it's very limited access for the victim to get the right for the justice as a victim, and also to make sure that they will receive the restitution, yeah, after they facing many bad situation, and maybe uh, the situation of the slavery in the practice, maybe forced labor and etc. And
Yeah.
the third one, I think, how to ensure the role of the local government also very important after they are arriving in their hometown. How to make sure everything, how to make sure that they will not being victim again or re-victimization again after arriving in their hometown.
Yeah, of course, we have to make sure that they can live or they can fulfill their basic needs because they're like long gone from their hometown and now they're back. They should have an income, I suppose, to maintain their basic needs. But I'm curious about this also, Bu Ayu. Our government, assisted by the Thai government, has rescued hundreds of Indonesian citizens who have become victims of online scam that we've discussed this morning. This number is greater than previous operations. What do you think about this operation? Is this because is it because of our success, our diplomacy success, or how do you assess this?
Right. Oh, well, I think I need to commend the efforts of Indonesian government because there is a more attention towards this issue more than ever. Because we're seeing that there's an increasing number of Indonesian are being repatriated. It means the government already succeeded in terms of diplomatic efforts to talk with surrounding countries like Myanmar, right, and also Thailand. And also would like to commend what Indonesian-Thailand operation. We do believe that this is successful and it's a very potential for us to strengthen this type of collaborations. As we understand
Bu
from
Ayu, I'm
the
sorry. I
operation
think
that
you
Thailand.
can hold for a minute because we're going to hear the press conference. Apologies, Bu Ayu. Now we're going
Yes, sure,
to
sure.
see the press conference from Soekarno-Hatta International Airport.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang saya hormati rekan-rekan media sekalian. Pada pagi hari ini, sebagaimana perintah dan arahan Bapak Presiden, Bapak Prabowo Subianto, bahwa Bapak Presiden sangat menaruh perhatian yang sangat serius terhadap perlindungan dan keselamatan warga negara Indonesia yang bekerja khususnya di luar negeri. Untuk itulah pemerintah dalam hal ini dari Kemenko Polhukam dan jajaran gitu, Kementerian Luar Negeri, kemudian Polri dan bersama dengan kementerian lembaga terkait yang tergabung di dalam Des Pencegahan dan Perlindungan Pekerja Migran Indonesia dan Tindak Pidana Perdagangan Orang telah melakukan operasi terpadu lintas negara secara senyap begitu atau tertutup. Pemerintah Indonesia di dalam kerjasamanya telah bekerja sama dengan pemerintah Thailand dan juga pemerintah Cina dalam rangka menyelamatkan dan memulangkan kembali sebanyak 554 warga negara Indonesia yang terdiri dari 449 laki-laki dan 105 perempuan. yang telah menjadi korban online scamming yang berskala besar atau masif gitu di wilayah Miyawadi, lokasinya perbatasan antara Thailand dan Myanmar. Selama mereka bekerja di markas sindikat online scamming ini, para korban yang merupakan pekerja warga negara Indonesia telah mengalami berbagai tekanan, kekerasan fisik, seperti pemukulan dan penyetruman begitu, serta diancam, yang terakhir ini bahkan diancam akan diambil organ tubuhnya manakala target yang dibelikan oleh para kartel atau bandar ini tidak bisa terpenuhi. Paspor mereka juga diambil, mereka juga dilarang berkomunikasi keluar, termasuk ke keluarga begitu. Sehingga dari indikasi-indikasi yang petunjuk-petunjuk yang ada ini sangat kuat bahwa adanya penyanderaan dalam jaringan mafia online scamming dalam skala yang besar atau masif ini. Rekan-rekan media sekalian, bahwa proses repatriasi dilaksanakan hari ini pada tanggal 18 dan besok tanggal 19 Maret begitu, dengan menggunakan 3 pesawat dengan rute penerbangan dari Don Muang International Airport di Bangkok begitu menuju Bandara Soekarno-Hatta di Jakarta atau di Tangerang pada hari ini. Pada tanggal 18 Maret ini, flight pertama yang telah mendarat tadi membawa 200 orang warga negara Indonesia kita yang menjadi korban. Kemudian nanti jam 11, flight kedua juga membawa 200 warga negara Indonesia yang menjadi korban di Myanmar begitu. Kemudian besok pada hari Rabu tanggal 19, flight ketiga akan membawa sebanyak 154 warga negara Indonesia yang menjadi korban. Di total sebanyak 554 orang. Setibanya di Indonesia, saudara-saudara kita ini yang menjadi pekerja migran Indonesia menjadi korban penipuan tersebut akan ditampung di tempat penampungan sementara di Wisma Haji Pondok Gede begitu selama 3 hari. Para korban ini juga nanti akan mendapatkan bantuan logistik dari pemerintah, layanan kesehatan dari pemerintah, serta pendampingan psikososial juga dari pemerintah, guna memastikan mereka dapat pulih secara fisik dan mental sebelum dipulangkan ke daerah asal mereka masing-masing. Pemerintah juga akan selama 3 hari tersebut akan melakukan asesmen lanjutan terhadap para korban tersebut guna memastikan apakah mereka semuanya memang korban atau mungkin sebagian ada juga indikasi pelaku dan sebagainya. Sehingga mana yang korban ini yang layak untuk mendapatkan bantuan hukum dari pemerintah. Nah, selanjutnya upaya hukum terhadap para pelaku yang terlibat di dalam jaringan tindak pidana perdagangan orang ini juga akan terus kita buru dan kita lakukan. Oleh karenanya hasil asesmen ini sangat penting dan menentukan langkah tindak lanjut penegakan tindak pidana perdagangan orang yang nanti akan dijelaskan secara teknis oleh Wakabariskim. Baik itu yang terjadi di dalam negeri yang mereka alami maupun yang di luar negeri. Tentu kita bekerja sama juga dengan otoritas luar negeri sebagaimana yang telah kami sampaikan tadi. Pada kesempatan yang sangat baik ini, sekali lagi pemerintah menghimbau kepada seluruh masyarakat agar lebih waspada dan hati-hati terhadap modus-modus rekrutmen kerja ilegal yang menjanjikan dengan iming-iming janji gaji yang besar, keuntungan yang besar, namun ujung-ujungnya ternyata penipuan dan eksploitasi. Pemerintah juga mengajak kepada seluruh masyarakat untuk segera melaporkan kepada pemerintah jika mengetahui memang di wilayahnya ada indikasi perdagangan orang secara ilegal. Kami dari pemerintah pada kesempatan ini tentu juga mengucapkan terima kasih dan apresiasi kepada seluruh pihak yang telah terlibat dalam operasi penyelamatan dan pemulangan ini, khususnya dari pihak Kementerian Luar Negeri, Kemenko Polkam, Polri, kemudian TNI, Kementerian Perlindungan Pekerja Migran Indonesia, dan kementerian lembaga yang mendukung kegiatan ini, baik itu dari Kemendagri, Kementerian Imigrasi, kemudian Kementerian Kesehatan, Kementerian Sosial, Kementerian Perlindungan Perempuan dan Anak, kemudian dari Kepala Staf Presiden, Kantor Komunikasi Presiden, dari Kejaksaan Agung, Kementerian Perhubungan, juga dari Angkasa Pura II, dan pemerintah daerah khusus Jakarta. Termasuk juga dari International Organization for Migration atau IAO untuk Indonesia. Kiranya patut kita semua mendoakan agar korban pekerja migran Indonesia ini semuanya dapat segera pulih dan segera bisa berkumpul kembali dengan keluarga tercinta dan kembali dapat menjalani kehidupan yang lebih baik ke depannya di tanah air kita ini. Bapak Presiden, Bapak Prabowo Subianto juga menitipkan salam kepada seluruh para warga negara Indonesia, pekerja migran kita yang telah berhasil diselamatkan dan dipulangkan. Semoga kedepannya para WNI yang memperoleh peluang bisa lebih baik lagi begitu, baik itu di dalam negeri maupun di luar negeri. Sekali lagi bahwa upaya kali ini merupakan bukti nyata bahwa negara hadir begitu dan bertanggung jawab atas keselamatan seluruh warga negaranya dimanapun berada. Oleh karenanya, pemerintah terus berkomitmen untuk melindungi setiap warga negara Indonesia yang bekerja di luar negeri. Demikian yang dapat saya sampaikan. Selanjutnya, saya persilakan nanti dari Menteri Luar Negeri untuk menambahkan, kemudian Menteri Perlindungan Pekerja Migran Indonesia, kemudian dari TNI, dan terakhir dari Bariskrim. Kalau dari Mendagri atau dari PPA mau menambahkan, silakan. Saya persilakan Pak Menlu.
Terima kasih Pak Menko. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak, Ibu, para hadirin yang hadir pada acara penyambutan dan penerimaan warga negara Indonesia yang hari ini direpatriasi dari Myanmar, yang saya hormati dan saya banggakan. Tadi sudah disampaikan oleh Pak Menko bahwa upaya repatriasi dari warga negara Indonesia yang diduga menjadi korban tindak pidana TPPO ini adalah bentuk dan wujud dari perintah dan arahan Bapak Presiden Prabowo untuk melakukan pelindungan dan penyelamatan dari warga negara Indonesia yang mengalami masalah di beberapa negara di luar. Khususnya pada hari ini para warga negara Indonesia yang berada di Myanmar. Hal ini tadi juga disampaikan merupakan wujud dari hadirnya negara dalam upaya melindungi seluruh warga negaranya, dan untuk itu saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh jajaran yang terlibat dari Kemenko Polkam, dari Kemenko Pemberdayaan Masyarakat, kemudian Kementerian P2MI, Kementerian Sosial, Kementerian Dalam Negeri, kemudian dari TNI, Polri, dari Kantor Staf Kepresidenan, Kantor Komunikasi Presiden, dan dari lembaga IOM. Rasa terima kasih dan penghargaan saya yang setinggi-tingginya sehingga upaya yang tidak mudah ini bisa berhasil. Karena kita ketahui bersama sasaran ataupun daerah yang kita tuju ataupun kita melakukan evakuasi ini merupakan daerah yang sedang berkonflik. Ada berbagai faksi dan kepentingan di Myanmar. Koordinasinya yang juga dilakukan tidak mudah. Butuh waktu yang cukup lama untuk bisa sampai dan melakukan upaya evakuasi dari warga negara Indonesia yang ada di Myanmar tersebut. Oleh karena itu kami mengucapkan sekali lagi terima kasih dan penghargaan yang setinggi-tingginya dan sebesar-besarnya kepada seluruh yang terlibat. Kami juga khususnya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada pemerintah Thailand dan beberapa unsur dari pemerintah Myanmar yang membantu pelaksanaan proses pemulangan saudara-saudara kita ini. Kami juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada jajaran Kedutaan Besar Republik Indonesia di Thailand. Kebetulan Pak Dubes hari ini memimpin kepulangan saudara-saudara kita. Upaya yang mereka lakukan merupakan sesuatu yang luar biasa. Saya paham pekerjaan yang dilakukan tidak mudah dan juga ada unsur ancaman terhadap jiwa dan keselamatan mereka semua. Namun karena rasa cinta kepada sesama warga negara, kemudian rasa tanggung jawab terhadap tugas dan pengabdian, upaya ini di tengah berbagai tantangan bisa terlaksana dengan sebaik-baiknya. Sedikit kami sampaikan bahwa proses pemulangan hingga hari ini sudah mulai berlangsung sejak kemarin. Tadinya dari Miyawadi, para saudara-saudara kita ini direncanakan terbang dari Maesot, namun karena jumlahnya yang banyak sehingga tidak memungkinkan untuk pesawat-pesawat besar terbang dari sana, akhirnya dibawa ke Bangkok lewat Bandara Don Muang. Perjalanan yang cukup lama, sekitar 6 jam dari Maesot. Dan akhirnya pada pagi hari ini sorti pertama tadi sudah kita terima dan nanti juga sorti kedua akan tiba kurang lebih pukul 11. Dan yang terakhir 154 orang itu besok akan tiba di tanah air dan bisa kembali. Saudara-saudara sekalian, pada kesempatan ini juga kami ingin menyampaikan dan menghimbau pada seluruh rakyat Indonesia, seluruh masyarakat Indonesia yang memiliki keinginan atau untuk bekerja di luar negeri untuk menggunakan jalur-jalur yang resmi, jalur-jalur yang legal, jalur-jalur yang bisa dipertanggungjawabkan. Jangan mudah terpengaruh oleh iming-iming atau janji-janji yang tidak jelas. Ada saluran-saluran di mana jika saudara-saudara atau keluarga kita ingin bekerja di luar negeri yang bisa dilewati sehingga ada jaminan terhadap keselamatan dan perlindungan mereka. Kemudian jangan memaksakan diri, kalau misalnya belum ada visa kerja, tunggu dapat visa kerja, karena ini juga merupakan satu proses atau satu langkah yang bisa mempermudah kita untuk melakukan upaya-upaya pelindungan jika ada hal-hal yang tidak kita inginkan terjadi di negara-negara tujuan. Saya kira itu yang ingin saya sampaikan sebagai tambahan tadi yang sudah disampaikan oleh Pak Menko. Sekali lagi saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh pihak terkait. Maaf kalau ada yang terlewat, tapi tanpa kerja keras, tanpa koordinasi yang baik dari seluruh rekan-rekan di kementerian dan dari Menko Polhukam, saya kira upaya ini tidak akan berhasil sampai pagi hari ini. Dan sekali lagi terima kasih kepada para warga negara yang sudah tiba di Indonesia. Kami ucapkan selamat datang kembali dan semoga bisa segera kembali berkumpul bersama keluarga. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Menlu. Selanjutnya saya persilakan Pak Menteri Perlindungan Pekerja Migran Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Yang terhormat Pak Menko Polhukam, beserta Pak Menteri Luar Negeri, Menteri Kemibas, dan Menteri Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Wakil Menteri dan Bapak Ibu dari Kepala Badan yang hadir, dan dari IO Pak Jeffrey, dan teman-teman wartawan. Saya kira tadi banyak yang disampaikan oleh Pak Menko dan Pak Menteri Luar Negeri. Kementerian P2MI sesuai dengan tugas fungsinya, di mana kita ini oleh undang-undang untuk melindungi bersama pekerja migran kita mulai dari sebelum berangkat, setelah dia berangkat, dan setelah dia pulang. Sebelum berangkat itu menjadi wilayah kerja kita bersama di sini, di luar negeri wilayah kerjanya Pak Menteri Luar Negeri, sekembalinya kami bersama dengan kementerian yang lain. Kami ingin memastikan bahwa semua yang pulang hari ini itu akan kita tangani sampai nanti beliau-beliau kita kawal sampai di rumah. Sebelum ini insya Allah setelah nanti dibawa ke Wisma Haji Pondok Gede, maka kita akan melakukan pendataan. Itu langkah pertama yang kita lakukan. Yang kedua melakukan pengecekan terhadap kesehatan psikisnya, kesehatan mentalnya, kesehatannya secara keseluruhan, dan juga hal-hal lain yang perlu kita periksa. Yang ketiga, setelah itu kita akan kembalikan mereka dengan istilahnya reintegrasi sosial. Jadi mereka harus kita kumpulkan kembali dengan masyarakatnya, karena selama bekerja di sana tentu mengalami penyiksaan, tekanan, eksploitasi, maka pasti ada gangguan-gangguan mental yang harus kita antisipasi, sehingga untuk kembali ke kampungnya, ke daerahnya itu perlu pendampingan, termasuk pendampingan hukum akan kita siapkan. Dan untuk itu ke depan kita perlu melakukan upaya-upaya serius. Yang pertama tentu bersama dengan semua pihak, Polri dan seterusnya, kita harus melakukan pengusutan secara tuntas seluruh jaringan-jaringan yang terkait dengan PMI legal dan juga TPPO. Yang hari ini sudah di launching Desk Pelindungan PMI oleh Menko Polhukam dan TPPO-nya. Yang kedua, kita harus memperbaiki tata kelola proses perekrutan tenaga kerja, calon tenaga kerja ke luar negeri. Yang ketiga, kami di Kementerian P2MI telah membentuk yang namanya tim reaksi cepat untuk mendorong terjadinya penegakan hukum. Lalu yang keempat, kita harus bersama-sama melakukan kampanye secara masif tentang bagaimana bekerja secara prosedural seperti yang disampaikan oleh Pak Menlu tadi, dan untuk itu kita tidak boleh sendiri, tapi kita harus berkolaborasi bersama sesuai yang sering disampaikan oleh Pak Presiden kita bahwa kita tidak bisa menuntaskan ini dengan sendiri tetapi dengan berkolaborasi. Saya kira itu yang bisa kami sampaikan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Menteri P2MI. Berikutnya persilakan dari Bareskrim. Pak Sep.
Terima kasih Bapak Menko Polhukam atas waktu yang diberikan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, Om Swastiastu Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Yang terhormat Bapak Menko Polhukam dan juga hadir Bapak Menlu dan juga Bapak Menteri Imigrasi dan juga Menteri Perlindungan Pekerja Migran. Terima kasih Pak Menteri. Dan juga hadir Bu Menteri PPA dan juga Bapak Wamendagri dan juga Kepala Staf Presidenan, Kepala Komunikasi Presiden, serta yang mewakili Wakil Panglima TNI dan juga Deputi 3 BIN dan juga dari Dir Kemensos. Baik, mohon izin Bapak Menko, akan kami laporkan tadi sesuai arahan Bapak Menko, kami akan berikan secara teknis Pak untuk pembagian tugas nanti bagaimana kita akan melakukan pendalaman kepada warga negara kita yang kembali dari Myanmar, ya, karena ada 2 kloter. Yang pertama, kloter sekarang mungkin sekitar 400 Pak, mohon izin, ada 200 pagi ini 200, nanti sore ada 200 juga, mungkin besok ada 134-an Pak, 154-an jumlahnya. Dan juga ada penambahan 7 orang Pak. Jadi total seluruhnya sekitar 171 orang yang akan kembali ke Indonesia. Dan tentunya kami sudah melapor kepada Bapak Kapolri bahwa nanti akan dibuat tim untuk pemeriksaan ini, asesmen dan pendalaman yang dilaksanakan di Asrama Haji, ya, yaitu dari Direktorat TPPO dan PPA, dan juga akan di backup oleh Direktorat Pidana Umum. Dan termasuk juga kami berterima kasih nanti mungkin mohon bantu Pak Kadif Binter yang membawa para imigran dari dari Myanmar ke Indonesia. Nanti kami akan koordinasikan dengan tim kami, mungkin dari Hubinter dan Dakabagjat Inter juga akan kita dalami awal dari pemeriksaan di sana. Mungkin kita bisa menerima bucket apa yang disampaikan oleh Bapak Menko Polhukam bahwa mungkin semuanya bukan hanya korban, tapi bisa saja mereka ini pelaku. Ya, jadi bucket awal itu kita akan melakukan tindakan selanjutnya, dan mudah-mudahan apa yang diharapkan oleh kita, para korban maupun pelaku bisa kita pilah-pilah ya untuk tindak proses ke depannya. Kalau korban sesuai arahan dari Bapak Menteri tadi akan kita kembalikan ke keluarga. Kalau pelaku kita akan lakukan tindakan proses kelanjutannya. Itu pun nanti akan kami laporkan kepada Bapak Kapolri dan Bapak Menko Polhukam hasil dari asesmen yang akan kita laksanakan. Dan selanjutnya kami pun akan memberikan pengamanan Bapak, pengamanan di lokasi pada saat asesmen.
That was the press conference from the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport. I would like to thank before Bu Anis Hidayah, National Human Rights Commissioner, that joined us earlier, and now we're still with Dr. Ayu Anastasia Rahman, MA, Lecturer of International Relations of Universitas Bina Mandiri Gorontalo. Bu Ayu, we've heard the press conference, and what caught my attention was that the government will do an assessment, and they will identify or figure out are they purely a victim or they're also an accomplice. That is something interesting for me. How do you see this? And please continue with your answer before I ask you about is it our diplomacy success because this number is greater than previous operations? Please, Bu Ayu.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I think, first of all, in the operations between Indonesia and Thailand, as I mentioned, would like to commend the collaborations between ministries because it is a joint effort of Indonesian government as a whole, in order to repatriate or to return these Indonesian overseas who are victims of a scam. So regarding the operations with Thailand, we need to also to recognize what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have said, that this is also involving diplomatic efforts. This is not an easy process. We do have an extensive negotiation because Myawaddi is the lawless areas where the military coup and also the scam syndicates operates freely, right? So from this now on, we believe that the government has to increase to strengthen the collaborations between borders. And it also demonstrates now, I believe, how Indonesia's influence is also getting increased in the region regarding human rights diplomacy, something that is previously perhaps Indonesia are known, in a negative connotations for example, like issues of Papua, for example, from the perspective of several surrounding countries like Australia. However, this also has a ballot proof how Indonesia is also care not only for Indonesia as a whole, but to create a framework together with other neighbor countries on how to tackle human traffic in the region as a Southeast Asia.
And how about the what caught my attention, Bu Ayu, that this assessment will identify which Indonesian citizens is also an accomplice of the online scam. Is this something that we can do, or something that we can we can do to track down this scam organization?
Right. Well, I think that's doable. However, we also need to kind of like reflect on our cybersecurity, on our cyber technology. In this case, because it happened online and it is difficult for us to track these scammers. Like I told you, they're not using a typical currency, they're using cryptocurrency with this, which is very difficult to track the transactions. And also they often use a dark web, they operate undetected, which makes them easy to avoid international scrutiny, just like I've mentioned before. Well, it is doable, I think, through an investment into this investment of research in this field. Perhaps a task force can come up out of these successful diplomatic efforts. We can come up with a task force not only among ministers in Indonesia, but also joint task force between countries in our neighbors, which also have become a destination or a target of an online scam. In terms of research investment, I believe that where we spend our resources in terms of come up with a proper tracking system, start from the beginning where they recruit the potential victims until in the borders where they commute or they transport our people to other countries. We have to make sure that there is an entire flow of operation system that we know, right? And then we try to make sure that in every stages of this the track system, we have a proper human resources that will utilize based on the vision, which is to decrease the number of human traffic or online scam overseas. So it's doable, but I think we have a lot of homework.
Okay, so Bu Ayu, I would like to ask for your final statement about this. How do you see this whole scam system, and how we already respond to this, all this phenomena? What is your final statement and your take on this?
Well, as international relations scholar, I see that there is a commendable efforts by the government. However, the gap of prevention remains. So it is not only to repatriate or to return the people who already become a victim, but how to increase the effort in preventing people to get into the scam at the first place. So I believe in this place, not only domestic government, local government, national government, but we also have to maintain the embassies, which is our first representative overseas, to make sure that they also respond immediately towards the request of help from these victims, because oftentimes we do hear in the news where the people that being a victims feels there is a slow response time from the embassy overseas. Surely we can tackle with something like, for example, like hotline 24/7. This is kind of like to ensure that they do have like a helpline whenever they need it, and also they can also ask the government for immediate response, not have to follow like a certain bureaucracy procedure, like a everyday business, right? So in this case, as an international scholars, we have to be strong and present not only at home in Indonesia, but also overseas through our representatives, our embassies, our ambassadors, to continuously advocate for these issues. Because I believe that because of our repatriates overseas, people who work overseas is also like the main I mean the also important, vital for Indonesia's economy and also human rights. And lastly, I believe, engaged to our last discussion about what if these victims were back home, and how can we make sure that they reintegrate properly into societies. I think also that's another issues that we need to properly explore and investing our attention, because there is a risk still for these people to re-traffic again, because they've been doing that for so long. Imagine they've been doing it for years or 2 years, 1 year, and then facing the abuse, the post-traumatic stress trauma or PTSD. They've been suffering mentally, psychologically, and they face social backlash at home because they being broadcast in national TV, right? So I feel like there should be a smooth transition of these once victims of scam online to getting back to the society. They need to be aware of the employment rights that they do have, and we should make sure that they not fall again into the scheme.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Ayu, for your insightful explanation.
And I'd like to touch last one, and to
Okay.
your point, how.
Please continue, Bu Ayu.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Do you wish to continue?
No. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah,
No.
it was.
I finished my.
It was an insightful explanation. Thank you very much for your time. Unfortunately, we are limited also by time. So thank you very much, Ibu Ayu, or Dr. Ayu Anastasia Rahman, MA, Lecturer of International Relations of Universitas Bina Mandiri Gorontalo. Thank you very much for your time. And these online scams represent a significant and evolving threat in the digital age, causing substantial financial and emotional harm to individuals worldwide. The case of Indonesian citizens being targeted by sophisticated scam syndicates, often involving human trafficking, underscores the urgency and severity of this issue. Vigilance, education, and proactive prevention strategies are paramount in mitigating the risks associated with online scam. That's all for today's breaking news on the repatriated online scam victims. I'm Sesko Satrio. Thank you very much. Until next time.